Everything happened at once. Dollar grabbed Moha's hand and ran for the back stairs. Tony grabbed my wrist. The lights flickered. My heart went silent. I didn't know why we were running, but everyone was. I followed, sandals slapping against the tiles, air rushing in my ears. We burst out into the parking lot, and that's when I saw them, police, flashlights cutting through the dark, voices barking orders. I ran. Took a sharp turn into an alley between two buildings. I could hear footsteps behind me, the jingle of keys, someone shouting stop. The alley ended in a tall gate. No exit. I turned just in time to see two officers, a woman and a man, rushing in. I didn't even scream. They grabbed me by the arm, breath heavy with authority, and dragged me back toward a white Land Cruiser parked under a flickering streetlight. When the back door opened, I saw another girl already sitting there, the one I'd seen at the club earlier, her makeup smudged, eyes wide. They shoved me in beside her. The door slammed. And that's when the fear really started. The city outside blurred as we drove, sirens echoing faintly, fireworks starting in the distance to welcome a new year that already felt ruined. The girl next to me whispered, "They'll just hold us overnight, don't worry." But I didn't believe her. All I could think about was home, Aunt Millie's small gate, the jacaranda tree, my sisters asleep under their blanket. And the sky above the city, still golden from the fireworks, refusing to go dark. I didn't know where they were taking us until the Land Cruiser turned off the main road and rolled past the faded blue gates of the Mabila Central Police Station. The metal gate groaned open, and I caught a flash of the sign painted on its side, Service, Integrity, Protection. I almost laughed. Protection, huh? It didn't feel like that. Inside, the compound was quiet except for the hum of generators and the shuffle of boots. I could smell diesel, sweat, and old rain. The air felt thick. The officers barked orders like they were late for something important, but I guess this was just another night for them. They made us step out one by one. My legs trembled as my bare feet touched the cold concrete. The ground still held the day's heat, but it was fading fast. I hugged my arms around myself, wishing I'd listened to Aunt Lydia when she told me to pack a sweater before leaving the countryside. That was weeks ago. It felt like another life. They herded us into a narrow hallway that smelled like rust and wet wood. I saw girls my age, boys even younger, sitting on the floor with their heads bowed. Some were already crying. Others looked like they'd been here before. Dollar wasn't with me. I'd lost her somewhere in the chase. Maybe she'd escaped. I prayed she had. At the desk sat a female officer with short, braided hair and skin that gleamed like old mahogany. Her uniform was tight around her shoulders. She didn't even look up as she said, "Shoes off. Jewelry off. Phones. Passes. Everything." We did as told. I removed my sandal, only one, because that's what they said for girls, and dropped it into a large plastic basin already full of others. The sound of things hitting that basin echoed like judgment. Then they led us to the back, to the cells. The moment the iron door opened, a wave of stench hit me. I wanted to gag. It was urine, sweat, and something else, something sour that clung to your throat. I stepped inside and looked up. There was no roof, just a grid of metal bars. I could see a slice of the sky. The stars were bright, almost cruel in how peaceful they looked. The concrete floor was wet in patches. I sat near the wall and tried to make myself small. The other women looked at me, their eyes reflecting a mix of curiosity and pity. One of them, a tall woman with sharp cheekbones and a scarf tied over her hair, leaned toward me and whispered, "First time." I nodded. She gave a small laugh. "You'll be fine. Everyone's fine the first time." Her name was Mama Sarah, and she had a voice like gravel softened by rain. She told me she was caught on a boda on her way to the club. Her kids were asleep at home. She'd told them she was just stepping out to buy soap. I didn't know what to say, so I just nodded and listened. Another girl, she couldn't have been older than 14, sat across from me. She wore a school uniform shirt stained with sweat and dust. She said she'd been arrested again after sneaking out to see her boyfriend. Her name was Winnie, and her eyes looked too old for her face. The stories kept coming, confessions whispered into the damp air. Each one chipped away at the fear sitting in my chest. For a moment, I forgot where I was. We were all just girls who'd made bad decisions or got caught in bad timing. But when the drizzle started, and the cold crept in through the cracks, reality hit again. I pulled my knees to my chest and tried to stay warm. I could feel the concrete chill seeping into my bones. I thought about Aunt Lydia, about my sisters, and what they'd say if they found out. The shame felt heavier than the night. I didn't sleep. Every sound, the footsteps of guards, the rattle of keys, the soft sobs from the next cell, kept me awake. I watched the stars fade into a pale morning sky. Dew fell through the open bars, wetting my hair and the concrete around me. At dawn, they brought us tea and bread. The tea was watery, and the bread was hard at the edges, but my stomach didn't care. I tried to drink, but the smell of the cell made it impossible. People started calling out names, shouting for officers, pleading to make phone calls. Mothers arrived, fathers too, some crying, some furious. I saw one woman slap her teenage son right in front of everyone after he was released. Nobody even flinched. Then I saw her, Dollar, at the reception. Her hair was messy, her eyes swollen, but when she saw me, she smiled. "Bardi," she whispered, pressing her hand through the bars. "Relax, they are sorting it out. You'll be out before court starts." She said they'd paid something small for me. I didn't ask how much or where it came from. I didn't care. I just wanted to get out. By 8, they opened the door and called my name. As I stepped out, the light burned my eyes. The air outside the cell smelled like freedom and disinfectant. Dollar hugged me tight and said, "Let's go before they change their minds." I asked about Asha, the girl I'd been caught with. Dollar just shrugged. Her boyfriend said he'd handle it, she said casually, like we hadn't just spent the night in hell. We walked in silence out of the gate. The sun was rising, golden light washing over the station's peeling paint. I wanted to cry, but I also wanted to laugh. We were free, dirty, tired, and still trembling, but free. Dollar said she couldn't go home yet. Her grandmother would kill her. We stopped by a small restaurant. She handed me my phone. The moment I turned it on, it buzzed like a swarm of bees, missed calls, messages from my cousin, and one from Aunt Lydia. I lied. I said Kanjo swept us up at the beach because we didn't have permits. He sighed and told me to come to my aunt's hotel, she was worried sick. We rehearsed the lie as we walked. When we got there, Aunt Lydia was behind the counter, looking tired but relieved. She hugged me, told me to shower before entering the house so that the spirit of arrest wouldn't follow me in. I laughed through tears, pretending I didn't feel dirty inside. On the bus ride home, Dollar and I couldn't stop laughing, maybe from relief, maybe because we didn't know how else to deal with what happened. She said her grandmother was waiting in the garden, furious. She was right. The old woman shouted, waving a gem, cursing us for bringing shame. I ran before she could swing it. Dollar followed, still laughing between breaths. That night, when I finally lay in bed, the ceiling above me looked calm, too calm. I thought of the women in that cell, of Winnie's tired eyes, of the smell that stuck to my clothes. I knew I'd never forget that night. And for the first time since coming to Mabila, I missed home, the slow countryside, the silence, the safety. I closed my eyes and whispered to myself. Just one more week, Bardi. Then you go home.